So here we had another 4x3 takeout double by Steve. Uh, yeah, once again, fairly, you know, subpar spade suit. And so, what, would you consider this automatic, or
Yeah, I think the only other option is overcalling one no. But my partner's a
okay,
passed hand, and I'm 4 3 and I have no place to go. But if he wasn't a passed hand with my, Jack ten of spades working together, my ten of clubs, and the Jack of diamonds in the suit that they open, I'd be very tempted to open a 14, overcall a 14 point no trump here.
hmm
Not recommended,
and
but doesn't mean I won't do it.
and so like, what would you want to have to change about this hand to make it so you wouldn't want to make a takeout double?
Um, I think if I had a Doubleton heart or a Doubleton major, I would have a problem with it. But if you made my five of spades the five of diamonds, I would still double.
Really?
So
Okay.
yeah,
Alrighty.
I don't have a hand that's that interested in trapping. I want to make it easy for us to find a 5-3 fit, and it's one bid. I'm white against red, and I'm done.
Yep. Get in, get out. Certainly can work quite well. And so, yeah, especially white on this hand, you would have been going for quite a bit, but it probably would not have been, the same
It's
as
so
the
hard for him to
normal
get
game.
you. No, if I was
Right.
vulnerable and my partner was a passed hand, and you changed my five of spades to a diamond, I probably would pass. But white, I would double.
Okay. Alrighty.
What
So
about
then,
West's choice to bid a heart, as opposed to make the redouble?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when your opponents, it comes back to the vulnerability. It's really hard to go after white against red opponents, and bidding a heart, assuming they play just four, which I'm pretty sure they do. At least they're getting their suits in naturally, because if he redoubles and it goes two spades on his left, pass pass, he's not going to feel so great about his bidding, and it's easy for them to jam you at this vulnerability. So I like one heart.
alrighty. And so then, one spade and three no. And so Gavin started with a heart and declare one king and played queen of clubs covered and the diamond to the king and ace. And so your ten of diamond play here, Gavin. What sort of agreements do you have on?
Well, it was we had a misunderstanding or a miscommunication about what card to play. We had talked about that we play a second highest card from even, but when we discussed I had understood it in the context of when we lead a king asking for count, that we would play the second highest card from an even number, from four rather. Sorry. So I didn't know that we actually had that I played the wrong card here until after the hand, but that the 10 actually that I was supposed to play the second highest card from four by our agreement, which I had misunderstood.
Mhm. Now, what about like splitting? As far as do you split with the higher card, the lower card? What about
Well,
when you're
you're
splitting
normally
spot
going
cards?
towards dummy. You could play the highest card, and when it's declare when you're going towards declare, you would want to play a lower honor. Just to help partner know exactly if it wasn't a count situation, if the most important thing would be to show my partner what honors I have, then I would want to play my highest card to say to my partner, like, this is the one I've got, and on the way up. But when you're doing it towards declare, that it doesn't help because you can't see what honors declare has. So it's important when you're splitting up towards declare that you split second highest.
Alrighty. And so then I suppose that sort of clarifies the rest of the play. You were playing him to have made a suit preference signal, or you were what
Well,
was
it's
your
actually kind
picture
of
of the
interesting
hand?
because from just go back to the last trick.
Alrighty.
You know, the information I had was that Gavin had the ten of hearts because we play Rusa now, and that Gavin didn't like hearts because we played the three of clubs. Declare had bid hearts, so I assumed he had four. I knew he had four because we play Rusa now from four card suits. It looked like Declare had four clubs because he was playing on clubs right now. So it felt to me that from our agreement that Gavin played the wrong card because I had thought we were pretty firm on the second highest card. But we do play upside down attitude and standard count, which is unusual. That's what I play with Bobby, and Gavin, I'm pretty sure, isn't used to that. So I was trying to work out whether Gavin forgot and played the highest card from 4, or whether he forgot that we played standard count, and I really wasn't sure. It was bothering me, and I probably should have worked this whole hand out anyway, because from 3 little spades, if Gavin had a doubleton diamond, then none of this hand made sense, and I should probably play the ace of spades and drop declare stiff king, or Gavin would have let a spade from 4. I also thought from 3 little spades, Gavin would have let a spade. So I really felt tortured on this hand because I knew that something had gone wrong, and I tried to guess what it was that was wrong, but I think that I had enough information to work out what it was that went wrong. And
Talk about being hard on yourself. You know your partner's played the wrong card. You just can't. It's tough.
Yeah, that is pretty brutal. When you know that something's gone wrong. It's just a matter of figuring out where.
Yeah, but those are situations that come up in every partnership, in every place, and it's so important that you just dig in and think, okay, something's gone wrong. What makes the most sense based on the information? We know that something bad has happened here. And really, from 3 little spades, Gavin is so likely to have let a spade through declare, or through the dummy when I made a takeout double, that I think this is a hand that, even though Gavin's card was incorrect, I 100% should have worked out the position.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's certainly plenty of times when you have to trust logic over partners carding, and there's a lot of interesting situations in a lot of auctions as well. But so Ari, at your table, you chose to bypass your 4-card spade suit. What sort of agreements and?
Yeah, this is just our style. We play the rebidding 1 spade here. Shows usually an unbalanced hand or significant concentration in diamonds and spades.
Okay. And so then it was just a fairly straightforward 1-no 3-no type situation, and so South chose to make a try for a very aggressive defense, which given that they had most of their side's points, was going to need the perfect cards from partner to survive, and today the Jack of Spades just sort of gave you the hand as an open book. And yeah, so anything else here? Or?
Yeah, I thought the 8 of clubs that came out from North, the trick 2, I don't know if he was just intending to give count, but if I had seen a low club there, I likely would have continued with a low club from dummy towards my 9. Is what I was planning to do.
Did they play reverse Smith, Ari?
Not that I was aware of.
Okay. Yeah, that would certainly be possible if they were giving Smith. Or I mean, of course, they sort of have negative attitude about everything. Given
that's true.
The 8 of clubs here actually sort of gave me a losing option in that I ended up now playing a heart to hand and trying to leading the Queen of clubs, trying to drop the 10-8 doubleton. It didn't matter as it turned out because I didn't need that entry at that point. But I thought it was interesting how that turned out.
Mm-hmm. Sort of shows some of the dangers of signaling with higher cards, even if they may not seem important at the moment. There's a good chance that something might happen to cause them to become important later. And so moving on to a little bit of a bloodbath here. This was a very interesting hand to watch. So what made you choose to double as opposed to the 2 hearts, Steve?
I really wanted my partner to leave it in. Like often with a 5-card major and a 3-card in the other major, I'll overcall it. But here I'm a passed hand, and they opened the 3rd seat diamond, went 1-no, and there was a pretty decent chance that Gavin's got a good hand with some diamonds, and this is the type of auction you really have him in trouble in. And if he leaves them in, there's not going to be any place likely for them to run. Because, here he had King 8 fifth of diamonds, but he could have King Jack 10 fifth. So I thought the likelihood of us getting a number was much more important than me showing my 5-card heart suit.
Right. And that certainly was the case today. Now, so what just happened? So when you led your heart and you started cashing hearts, um, the order that you played your hearts in was that sort of like a subtle suit preference type situation, or
Well, the first one, my opening lead was Attitude, so that was
right?
clear. We don't play fourth best. The ten of heart. I mean, I had no choice but to win the ace, and I had no choice but to play the 10.
Right, and
So,
after that series of forced plays, you had a choice of 8-6 or 6-8.
right, and I certainly think there's suit preference implications here.
Okay. And is there one sequence that's more standard? Which one is stronger?
I think that the low. I mean, in my partnership with Bobby, not that Gavin and I have discussed this, that the neutral one would be low high, neutral till I like the low suit, and if you go high low, that would be the more definitive signal.
It's funny. I would have totally in my mind thought the other way. That I thought the low high was like a strong, like you think like if you're cashing your winners, you just go from the top down, and then that was my instinct. I thought you were like saying like I really need to hear whether you want me to shift to a club or not.
Right. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it also has to do with how you play your present count signals and whatnot, as to what becomes the default. But
right, but you're the only one left with cards. Yeah. I mean, I think you should have a default for it doesn't matter, but I think that other people have argued that there shouldn't be. You should always choose one way or the other. But
right, I definitely think that one signal should be sort of a fallback plan because sometimes you really just don't have a preference.
Well, also in this case, I mean, I would think that the club is stronger just because of dummy spade strength. If you really didn't have a strong signal, you'd always signal towards dummy's stronger suit. That would be less. If you didn't have an agreement, you definitely would high low to say like you definitely signal saying spades when you didn't care. I would think
right. I mean, I guess you want to just make the signal that you think won't cost in this
right.
case.
Right.
You don't want partner shifting from some sort of sensitive holding. But
you're on lead. That's the interesting thing about this suit preference is you're once you're done cashing your hearts, you're still the one who's on lead. So he's trying to invite a signal, his vote in clubs. Sometimes like in this hand it was kind of easy because I have really good clubs and it was obvious. But there's some hands where he's going to want a vote for me. Like let's say I have queen third of clubs. That's a suit where I would never encourage clubs. But once he says he likes clubs, now I know that I would want him to know that it's safe to play a club. If he had something like ace jack fourth of clubs, I would think that he should. It's a harder spot anyway.
So now you're arguing that with something like ace jack fourth, maybe he should.
It's possible. I would think that
differently than if he's
inviting a club attitude with a lesser holding. I would think by playing if it was a stronger suit preference.
all right, and so then your 8 of diamonds pitch. Was there any significance?
This to me was like you like clubs. I don't like spades. I don't like diamonds. Like get me a club on the table. That was what I was basically.
Yeah, that was pretty clear that he couldn't afford to pitch an encouraging club, but he really likes clubs.
Right.
I discouraged spades first because that was my most discouraging card, and then diamonds to make it clear that a club was okay. At that point, I didn't have to worry about him. He obviously knew I had the king of diamonds, or that we were going to take 3 clubs or 4 clubs and be done with it. But so once I pitched the 8 of spades, he knows I don't have the ace of spades.
Right. Alrighty. So moving over to the other table now, we have a somewhat straightforward auction to 4 hearts, and so was there anything notable on defense here?
Well, let's see. It was queen of spades lead looked pretty standard there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I decided to win the first strike and play another spade.
Right. And Eugene's spade here would be count, suit preference. What sort of agreements do you have when declarer's winning here?
Well, here I think it would tend to be count.
Okay.
There's nothing that with this dummy. It doesn't look likely that like the suit preference is going to matter.
Right. Right. And so the hand basically came down to Declare finding the Queen of Hearts, which he did successfully. But given the 1100 in the other room, you guys still picked up 10 M's. So moving on to board 11.